All right, we're going to talk about convergent and divergent boundaries. So we've got some hand motions that go with these, right? So the simple ones are convergent, divergent, and transform. Convergence, collide. Divergence, divide. And transform is when they're sliding. So we've got colliding boundaries, dividing boundaries, and sliding boundaries. And then we have different types of continental or oceanic crusts. We have different surfaces, right? Different parts of the plates that have different densities. So that actually creates a different landform whenever we have these plate boundaries, right? So we're going to represent a continental boundary with a C and an oceanic boundary with an O, right? And we're going to demonstrate each of those and talk about what do they create. So if I have two continental crusts and they collide, converging, they're going to form a mountain. C, when I put them together, that's a mountain, right? Continental colluding, continental converging, mountain, right? Secondly, if I have continental and oceanic, the oceanic crust is always denser, so it goes underneath when they collide. And now I have an open mountain. So when the mountains are open, what comes out? Magma. So these are volcanic mountain ranges. The O goes under, so this is subduction. And there's always going to be a trench on the coast out in the water whenever there is subduction. So you'll get a volcano and a trench when you have continental and oceanic convergent. Whenever you have oceanic and oceanic convergent, one of those will be denser than the other, so it will go underneath, right? And then, so what's going to happen is one of these will raise up and you get an island and there's subduction, so you're also going to have a trench. Now the last thing is, anytime there's subduction, so we've got continental oceanic, there's subduction, oceanic, there's subduction, there's going to be volcanic activities. So these islands that are oceans, surrounded by oceans, are volcanic islands, right? And so there are certain places in the world that these are. When we have continental, that's like the Himalayan mountains in India. When we have continental oceanic, that would be like the Cascade Mountains or the Andes Mountains in the Americas, in North America and South America, where you have volcanoes like Mount St. Helens, right? And then out in the ocean, you have trenches that are really deep. And then where we have oceanic, you're going to have things like islands that are like Japan or the Philippines that are out in the Pacific Ring of Fire that are volcanic in nature, right? Right. Then we have divergent boundaries, also continental, and oceanic. And so we've got continental, they're together, and then they divide, they create a valley, a rift valley. And the most famous one is really in Africa, where the Red Sea is actually. That is a rift valley that is growing and is filling in with seawater. So the Red Sea is actually slowly getting larger. So continental divide or divergent is a rift valley. And then we have oceanic. They're together. When they divide, what they pull apart, they create a ridge. And so what you see happening is the lava, the magma kind of comes up and they pull apart, but there's a ridge and they actually kind of go up a little bit. And the biggest one that we talk about is in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and it's actually the divergent boundary between Africa and South America, and that's the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. These are plate boundaries.